In the deep, verdant rainforests of West Africa, a remarkable story began to unfold. This was not merely the story of a settlement but the birth of an empire, the Benin Empire. Its origins are woven into legend, a grand adventure that started with a prince named Oranmiyan. He came from the revered Yoruba city of Ife, summoned by the Edo people who sought a new form of leadership. He founded a dynasty that would last for centuries, a line of kings, or Obas, who were considered divine. The early years were a crucible of change. The Obas who followed Oranmiyan began to forge a new identity for their people. They were not just rulers, they were patrons, spiritual leaders, the central pillar of their society. They established a system of governance that was both complex and astonishingly effective. This nascent kingdom, nestled within the protective embrace of the forest, began to expand its influence. It was a slow and deliberate process built on strategic alliances, spiritual authority, and an unshakable belief in its own destiny. The foundations were being laid for something truly extraordinary, a kingdom that would leave an indelible mark on the annals of human history. Imagine a city protected not by simple fences, but by one of the largest man-made structures on Earth, the Great Walls of Benin. They stretched for thousands of kilometers, a labyrinth of earthworks that enclosed not just the capital city, but hundreds of surrounding communities. They were dug by hand, a monumental effort that took generations to complete. These were more than just defenses, they were a statement. They declared the power, the organization, and the sheer determination of the Benin people. They marked the boundary between the ordered world of the empire and the wild chaos of the world beyond. At the heart of this vast network lay Benin City, a place of extraordinary design and bustling activity. European visitors who arrived in the 15th century were simply astonished by what they found. The city was a testament to the Oba's authority and his ability to command immense labor and resources. Within the city, the Oba's palace stood as the magnificent centerpiece. It was not a single building but a sprawling complex of courtyards, galleries, and chambers. Its walls were adorned with shimmering plaques of cast brass, the famous Benin bronzes, which depicted historical events and royal ceremonies. Here, goods from across the empire and beyond were traded. These were exchanged for goods brought by Portuguese traders, including coral beads and the metal that would be transformed into timeless art. The city, with its mighty walls, its grand palace, and its lively markets, was a complete ecosystem, a masterpiece of human organization and a beacon of culture in West Africa. Life in the Benin Empire was structured and deeply rooted in tradition. Society was organized like a pyramid, with the divine Oba at its apex. Below him were the powerful chiefs, title holders who served as his advisors and administered the kingdom. Then came the specialized guilds, the brass casters, the ivory carvers, the woodworkers, and the blacksmiths. Each guild had its own secrets and techniques passed down from father to son. This intricate social fabric ensured that everyone had a place and a purpose. The people of Benin lived in compounds, collections of rectangular houses built from red earth. Roofs were made of thatch or shingles. These compounds were organized around courtyards, spaces for cooking, socializing, and family activities. Daily life was tied to the rhythms of agriculture and trade. Farmers cultivated yams, plantains, and palm trees. Others participated in the bustling commerce of the city's markets. The culture was one of community, where family and lineage were paramount. Spirituality permeated every aspect of Benin culture. The people worshipped a pantheon of gods and revered their ancestors, who were believed to influence the world of the living. Shrines were found in every home. The Oba himself was the chief priest. He performed elaborate ceremonies and rituals throughout the year to ensure cosmic order, to bring good harvests, and to protect his people from harm. These ceremonies were grand public spectacles filled with music, dance, and colorful regalia. Art was not made for art's sake, it was functional, created to serve the king, to honor the gods, and to record history. At the very heart of Benin's artistic achievement are the Benin bronzes. These are not just sculptures, they are historical documents cast in a shimmering alloy of copper and tin. For centuries they adorned the pillars of the Oba's palace, a dazzling display of wealth and history. Each plaque, each head, they depict kings in their full regalia, noble queen mothers, victorious warriors, and even the strange bearded faces of the first European traders. A library in metal, a chronicle of a people without a written language who made their history immortal. Their creation was a closely guarded secret of the royal brass casters. The lost wax casting technique, a method of incredible complexity, allowed astonishing detail and realism, subtle textures of woven cloth, intricate coral bead patterns, unique expressions on human faces. The craftsmanship is breathtaking. Commemorative heads to honor deceased obas are particularly powerful. Placed on ancestral altars, they became gateways for the living to reach deified predecessors. The sheer quantity of metal signified immense wealth, drawn from control of regional trade routes. Beyond the famous plaques and heads, Benin produced many other treasures, intricately carved ivory tusks, ivory salt cellars made for European nobles, pendants of ivory and brass. The organization of the Benin Empire was a masterpiece of political and social engineering. At its absolute center was the Oba. He was more than a king. He was considered a divine being, a descendant of the gods who walked the earth. The Oba was surrounded by a complex court, a hierarchy of chiefs, palace officials, attendants, each with specific duties that kept the state running. Art was the primary language of power in the Oba's court. It was not an optional luxury, but an essential tool of governance. The regalia, coral bead garments, ivory pendants, bronze masks, was designed to overwhelm the senses and declare the Oba's wealth, military might, and his sacred connection to the spirit world. The empire was structured through allegiance and tribute. The Oba appointed chiefs to govern territories. Chiefs collected taxes, maintained order, and raised soldiers for the royal army. The royal guilds were fundamental. Igun Eronwan, brass casters, Igbasanwan, ivory and wood carvers. The Oba controlled the kingdom's top artisans, their workshops often located within the palace grounds. Their role was to produce the art that projected and sustained royal power, making the most significant art inseparable from the monarchy. The Benin Empire did not become a dominant force overnight. Its rise to power was a long and strategic process. Two kings stand out, Oba Iware the Great and Oba Esiji. Iware transformed Benin from a city-state into an empire. He rebuilt the capital and expanded the Great Walls. He conquered over 200 towns and villages. The military strength of Benin was legendary. A large, well-organized and highly disciplined army. Warriors were trained from a young age. Their prowess was often celebrated on bronze plaques. The empire controlled vital trade routes and dominated commerce between the coast and the interior: pepper, ivory, textiles, brass, and manila bracelets. European merchants arrived, most notably the Portuguese. The Oba established a royal monopoly on key trade items. This control kept the treasury full, funding the army and the spectacular production of royal art. The sophistication of Benin's art, the organization of its city, and the grandeur of its royal court became standards, influencing neighboring cultures. For centuries it stood as a testament to what an African kingdom could achieve, a powerful, self-assured civilization that commanded the respect of the world. Despite its centuries of power, the Benin Empire was not immune to challenges. Internal conflicts sometimes arose, often in the form of succession disputes. These struggles could weaken the state from within. Externally, the growing presence of European powers along the West African coast began to shift the dynamics of trade and politics. The transatlantic slave trade brought immense disruption to the region. The final catastrophic blow came in 1897. Following a disputed incident, the British launched a massive punitive expedition. A force armed with Maxim guns marched on Benin City. The city was conquered, burned, and systematically looted. The Oba was exiled, and the Benin Empire ceased to exist. Thousands of priceless artifacts were seized and shipped to London and other museums. The soul of a great civilization was scattered across the globe. Today, the treasures of Benin are at the center of a global conversation about restitution and cultural heritage. Efforts to return these treasures, to build museums in Benin City, and to restore a stolen history are about healing a deep wound and acknowledging the enduring importance of this magnificent African empire to the world.